tell us what's the snap on upstage left and announcement.
I just really tune myself up to do it because I've got to give out so much energy to all those people and I've got to be ready to do it.
OK, I can't think of any reason not to start.
Please welcome Victoria Wood.
You know, this is where I tried to get all those years ago and now I'm here. And the least I can do is enjoy it, you know, and I do really make the most of it, and I think that gives me an extra edge on the stage.
Hello. Well, here we are then, we made it. We're out of the house, we got here. We said, that's it, Tuesday, we're coming out. No more sitting in front of the television, eating pizza straight out of the box. Scraping cold mozzarella off the lid 2 hours later, we're coming out. We want glamour, glitter, excitement. This is Blackpool, we'll have to come to Winter Gardens. Welcome to lovely St Albans. I was here last week, but before that I hadn't been here for ages and ages. When I got here, the manager said to me, do you notice any differences? I said, no. And he said, oh, we've put a new pedal bin in the ladies' labs, and we've called it an arena. I said, oh, that's good. And I got here this afternoon, there's one fan letter waiting for me at the stage door. It said, Dear Miss Wood, I will never forget the last time you came to Manchester at the Opera House. We waited for you at the stage door in the rain. You came out, barged past us, got into your car and reversed into my sister's Renault.
I know that I saw her first appearance on television. I know memory goes like this and this, and in and out, and in and out. Never mind, I did, on New Faces. And I fell for her. I saw this young girl, lovely, I thought she was beautiful, playing magnificently, singing wonderfully, and she was just terrific. She blew everybody away. And partly because it was so fresh. It was out of Noel Coward and Joyce Grenfell and quite a lot of Victoria Wood. It wasn't what was going on in music at the time at all. And nor was it sort of archly counter the tide. It was her. And it felt so good. That's the thing. It had real quality. And it had quality in the words. She's basically, in my view, a writer. And then everything else follows from that. I found her both sharp and shy. She was very ready to answer questions, although there was areas you didn't go into, but I didn't want to go into areas about her personal life. Didn't bother me or the director at all. But she was also rather shy. This little bubble of solitariness around her now and then. Anyway, she's amazingly funny in her work. She's very ambitious, and that shows in her work. And, of course, she truly is a trailblazer.
Oh, here we are.
Blackpool Opera House in the Winter Gardens is the largest theatre in England, with nearly 3,000 seats. Only 3 solo performers can fill it consistently: Shirley Bassey, Ken Dodd, and Victoria Wood.
Is this the one where they have the ballroom dancing?
She has a stage manager and a sound engineer, and that's the entire tour party.
Yeah, well, if he's been here before, then I...
Yeah.
I woke up really, really late this morning, so I'm shouting at my children. Because one of them was being really stupid, you know, he wouldn't get dressed. So I overreacted. I've had him adopted. No, it's all right, I'm going to collect him from the social services tomorrow.
When you go on stage, how much do you, as it were, make up a new character, that you're a different Victoria Wood?
I don't. I don't. I mean, I feel that that's me on stage. Yeah. I'm not.
Did you used to do that?
No. No, I used to feel that the real me was on the stage and the rest of me was fumbling to catch up. That when I was on stage, I was talking honestly and communicating with people, that I had difficulty doing the rest of the time.
Hi! Sorry I'm late! Welcome to Step. I'm Hayley Bailey. Welcome to Step with Hayley Bailey!
I'm very much in love with the simplicity of being a stand-up comic. You know, we have lights, but we don't have a set, we just have a piano, we just bring the audience in, we just do it. You know, it's a very simple operation.
We'll take the greens down a bit, see what that looks like. I don't want it any less bright, really.
How do you see the audience?
I don't want to see them at all. I want them to be a black mass. I want them to be an audience that I can get a sense of. I don't want them to be particular people.
Keep the rest of the breathing. Maybe we would carry on.
I spend... from about 5 o'clock, maybe for an 8 o'clock show. Sort of practising on the stage and walking around, getting the feel of the stage and the shape of the auditorium, and going through the songs and warming up my voice, such as it is, and just getting into the mood, because it can be, I'm not wishing to sound like the sad clown, it can be quite lonely because there's nobody else to do it. I've got to do it. It just gives me a feel of the building and the shape of the auditorium. I like being on stage, stage struck.
I read the tea leaves in my cup, but all that they ever seem to say is, for Christ's sake, grow up. Oh, flip, I need to get a grip. I've never learned to ski or punt, go easy. Ooh, a fashionable bra, we're twisting it around the front, how sleazy. God's sake, give a girl a break. Why am I so insecure? I could take a header into vintage cheddar and still not be mature.
I think Victoria's role as a musician and a comedian probably go hand in hand, because it's about, she's a fantastic, she's one of the best observers, I think, within the comedy world. I mean, if you look, you know, at the material, that's why she's so popular, because she those little nuances of everyday life. And I think that ear and that eye, especially the ear, then chimes with the music, goes in tune, I think. She can hear the comedy. It's like Alan Bennett. He has a definite rhythm, doesn't he? The humour comes from the delivery and from the use of words and putting specific words, and just words that, you know, sort of onomatopoeic, that are just, they're just funny. She puts words in that, you know, swarfiga. I saw That Day We Sang recently at the Royal Exchange, and yeah, I mean, laughing for about 5 minutes about swarfiga, and it is a funny word, and she gusset and things like that. She just knows those words, and I think that comes from musicians' ear as well.
When did the idea occur to you of being a stand-up comic?
Well, I mean, I didn't know there was such a thing as a child. I certainly didn't know there were women stand-up comics. I saw Joyce Grenfell when I was about 6, and that certainly planted the seed of a woman standing on stage alone. I found that very appealing. As a very sort of isolating person, I found that appealing, the idea of standing on stage on my own and not being with other people, I think. I saw her show, and then there was a woman called Libby Morris, a Canadian, who came over in the late 60s, and she had something called a one-woman show, and that phrase really stuck with me. So I had that in my head to do from about 15.
And so when you were buffeted at school, as you say you were, and that must have...
I had a little feeling inside me that it would be... I mean, people say, well, you're really funny, and I used to treasure all these remarks if I ever got... I used to write them in my diary. If anybody ever complimented me, I used to write it down.
On being funny?
Yeah.
And in class, did you try to make people laugh?
Not so much in class. I wasn't the class joker. There were certainly lots of people who were funnier than me. I used to tie people up and put them in cupboards, but I wasn't exactly witty.
You didn't, did you?
I did. Sorry, Gail Melling, but I did.
Hey ho, I don't blooming know God gives us all a place on earth like Chorley. How sad. The life I might have had if I'd been swapped at birth too lawly. Ho hum, I've got it all to come. Tomorrow is another day. Well, I'm 5'5" and I'm still alive, and that's all I want to say.
When she was 11, her mother went to college and subsequently trained as a teacher. Her father was an insurance salesman who also played part-time in a dance band.
I used to play the piano with him. That was the main thing that I did with him, because he was a frustrated entertainer. He'd done shows in the Navy and things like that. He would have loved to have done what I did. I suppose this is the right road. I've never actually driven from Tottington to my other house. And when we lived in a very strange way, we all lived in separate rooms in my house. We lived in this big house on a windswept hill on the moors. And I had a room with a piano and a television in it. And I either watched television or played the piano or read or ate sweets. And I just did those 4 things, usually all at the same time. And I did have lessons, but I couldn't cope. I couldn't cope with being with the piano teacher in the same room. I was too shy. I used to sweat. My hands used to slip off the keys. I was so nervous. So I stopped going to piano lessons. And so I started playing on my own. And I thought, well, my parents will be cross if I played the piano because I'm not having lessons. So I used to play piano in secret. And when they'd gone out, I used to run to the piano. I used to dream about playing the piano. And then when I heard their car come up the drive here, I used to get off the piano and close the lid, and the piano would be still steaming. And I'd run to another and put the television on. For years I did that. Just something that I did in private. And then they said, we know you play the piano. And then I started having lessons again when I was 13. I played anything I could read. I was very good at sight reading.
Having lessons, are you?
Professor Hartley.
Oh, yeah. Should ask for a refund.
Was it helpfully isolating, looking back?
I don't know. It's the way it was, and you know, from this standpoint, it was absolutely fine. You know, I'm all right.
So can you look back and feel any encouragement there from this?
There was
piano?
encouragement in the sense that you could do what you wanted, which was a bit scary in a sense. But it made me very. I mean, on the one hand, I was shy and I didn't go out very much. I didn't have a very normal social life until I went to a youth theatre, and when my life changed and the sun came out. But it was you know, at least I had freedom to have. I had an individual mind. I think, you know, I have a good vocabulary because I read all the time. And that's been very useful to me.
What gave you the sort of idea to go to this theatre club when you were about 15?
Because my sister went, and I just suddenly thought, oh yes, this is the thing I can do. This is what I'm good at. After being told at school, oh, you can't do this, you're hopeless at this, you're bad at that, you know, you're so naughty and dirty and messy, and I suddenly, you know, this thing clicked. I thought, well, this is the thing I can do.
And oh, I had this job, and it weren't much cop, so I packed it in. And oh, my man went mad. She said, what have you done? Said I packed it in. I just walked out, I packed it in. 'Cause oh, somewhere round the corner and headed straight my way, I can see so clear, I won't be here, I'll have a better day, a better day.
Does that song come out of something you remember very much of your teen?
No, it comes out of how I perceive people to be living at the moment, really. It's not from my own life, where I've managed to achieve a lot of the things I wanted to do, but I'm very aware of a generation of people who have no chance of getting away. That's what their song is about.
You see that just...
See that around me now, since the 70s and 80s.
Sort of these marooned youth, really.
I mean, I think, you know, the 70s weren't brilliant, but there was a hint that you might one day get a job, or that things might improve, and they did improve, and then they went down again. I mean, it's happened to people twice. People lose hope.
Oh, what they say at school and like on the news, it's all a con. 'Cause look at me, I have these dreams and they won't come true. Like they say, dream on. Me mum says that. Dream on, Andrea. Dream on, Andrea. And oh, something set me thinking. This thing my gran would say. We'll win. It'll all begin when a ship comes in. We'll have a better day. Well, I'm 17 and I live round here and it's not so bad. And my sister's left, so I'm just at home with my mum and dad. And oh, something set me thinking, this thing that she would say. We'll win, it'll all begin when a ship comes in. We'll have a better day, a better day, a better day.
People project onto me. They project onto any performer that they see on the television. They have an idea of what they think they're like.
And what do you think they project onto you?
That I'm nice, they think. I'm not, but that's what they think I am. They think I'm nice and friendly. My husband says they think I'm their best friend, you know. And that's fine. On the stage, I'm happy to be their best friend.
And what do you do for them, do you think? What do you help them through?
Well, I mean, like every comedian, it's saying, this is how our life is. And it's a really important part of people's lives in comedy, so it's an important part for everybody.
Hello. Now, I must tell you, I'm under a bit of a strain tonight. Got a film crew with me filming a fly-on-the-wall documentary. It's a bit of a panic. Fly's just died. It fell off the wall. But it's such a worry having a film crew with you wherever you go. You have to watch what you say. I haven't said bollocks since Thursday.
Is there any way you can identify what makes a good joke, or is that impossible?
It's rhythm, really. It's rhythm, it's unexpectedness, it's the sound of a word. It's like Neil Simon saying consonants are funnier than vowels. It's picking all those things. It's having a sense of what will work. It's surprise. It's having things coming off the offbeat instead of the onbeat. It's a lot to do with music, really.
The only thing I could find to put on this morning was a body. You know, body. Got it on there. Fantasy. This is by Fantasy, this body. I have got one made by Burley. But you feel such a fool, don't you, in a department store, going up to a woman saying, have you got a large, white, burly body? they're such a faff, aren't they, bodies? To get on and to get off. I mean, I've got friends who wear tights and knickers and a body and like a little dress or trousers, and they go out for a few drinks and they sit there and they go, oh, sod it, Angela, let's just wet ourselves.
Female comedians are thankfully all over the place at the moment, and she was the first one. And it matters being the first one, and it's hard to be the first one because what do you follow? Who do you imitate? We all need imitators. We all need a sort of North Star or somebody to follow. She did it, and others have gone through the gates. She's extraordinarily witty in her writing. It's all in the writing. And she's now moving on to write plays and act in them, and she'll direct them. And so that's the way she's going. But that basic wit, talent, and tremendously clever mimicry without being callous, and observation as to what's really going on in the world that we all live in. And we live in tribes, don't we? So most of us only see our own tribe or two, but she goes around and she can touch many different areas. So first time I saw her, I thought she was quite wonderful and fresh, and I still think she's quite wonderful and fresh, and the next thing she does can't be soon enough.
When I first started in stand-up, I used to sit down. I couldn't leave the security of sitting on the piano stool. Then I graduated to standing in the crook of the piano, but I had it around the sides of me, so I had something to hold on to. Then I always had a stand mic, so there was always a barrier between me and the audience. And then I actually relaxed into the freedom of not holding anything, and it makes it much more physical, which I really enjoy.
Hello? I'm collecting. We're not allowed to, like, call out and draw attention to ourselves. But we can do, like, quite an interesting rattle. Plus, I'm looking for my friend. Have you seen her? Kimberly. She's really tall, she's really platinum. She had, like, these hair extensions. Took ages to do, took 8 hours. Well, 4 for each armpit. So she's got this new job now. She's working in a health club and gym, really upmarket. It's converted from an abattoir. So there's loads of hooks for your leotard.
We did some of Wood Walters, I think, in here, even though it's so tiny, and they just had little tiny, 2 little strips of audience, and the audience were ancient. They were about 80, and somebody came out, the warm-up man, and said, "Now we're going to do a sketch set in a boutique." And they went, "What's a boutique?" And nobody laughed at any of the sketches, and one woman turned to them and said, "We're missing Brideshead for this."
Hi, chaps.
Evening.
Welcome to Wood Walters, the comedy show with a difference. It's offbeat.
It's zany.
It doesn't get laughs.
You need an awful lot of material. You need to, I write double, at least double, and throw half of it away, and I think that's the best way to raise the standard. I didn't do that on Wood Walters because I didn't know you had to. I learned from that when I came to do Victoria Wood, as seen on TV.
Excuse me, sir, like to test? Excuse me, sir, like to test?
Ah! What is that?
It's an anti-mugging spray, sir.
The fact is, Mrs. Earl, my life seems completely grey, bleak and pointless.
Well, yes. Sometimes that's God's way of getting you to enjoy Gardener's World.
Since making this South Bank show, Acorn Antiques, which started off as a sketch in her TV show, was developed into a successful musical. Victoria Wood has also written and starred in serious drama with Housewife 49 and the sitcom Dinner Ladies, which won the Best TV Comedy Awards in 1999 and 2000.
We need more sort of Victoria's type stuff, because I do think there's a swathe of society who's slightly been forgotten about now. You know, and that humour needs to come back. I think we've slightly lost. Everything's very gritty, and I know I get accused of being in a lot of gritty things, but I get offered a lot of gritty things. But I think she really shows, especially in the north, the best thing for me about the northern sensibility is people laugh in the face of adversity, which I don't think you get so much on telly now. You know, it's all very grim up north, and I think that's not a true representation of the north of England.
When I was little, you know, there was no party bags or no consolation prizes, none of this everybody has to go home with something. When you played musical chairs, if you were out, you were out. I mean, out in the streets, go on. It's raining, Mrs. Pickering, I mean it.
People would expect me to say, didn't that feed your sense of being brought up there? Didn't that give you a head and shoulders start in humour? Yes. Being in Ramsbottom and all that northern humour that we're all supposed to. I mean, wasn't that a flyer of a start? Well, was it?
Well, it was very, like I said, it was very isolated. You know, we were on this hill. We didn't know any neighbours. Nobody ever came to the house. But certainly, I found when I started writing that I had been fed in all sorts of ways I was not even aware, and that people were coming out of my pen that I had not ever been aware of hearing. But all those voices and all those people, they'd soaked into me somehow.
And you know, when you do pass the parcel now, you have to put a little prize in each layer so that each child who unwraps a layer gets a prize. None of that when I was little. You were lucky if you got one at the end, you know. You'd unwrap the last thing and go, there's nothing in it, Mrs. Pickering. No, that's life, that is. Think on.